Do you believe the Master Chief succeeded because he was, at his core, broken?
What does John have to do with this? You want to replace him?
The Master Chief is dead.
His file reads missing in action.
Catherine. Spartans never die.
Your mistake is seeing Spartans as military hardware. My Spartans are humanity's next step. Our destiny as a species. Do not underestimate them. But most of all, do not underestimate him.
I'm going to start off by saying that I have kind of mixed feelings when it comes to the Halo games. While some of my friends have been rabid fans of the series and its multiplayer offerings, I've been lukewarm to both in the first 3 Halo games starring John 117. When it came to the offshoot titles like ODST and Reach though, I found the stories more compelling and even got much more into the multiplayer modes. So how does Halo 4 fare? I'm happy to say that 343 Industries has done an excellent job on the title and kept up the more compelling storytelling aspect I preferred from ODST and Reach, as well as made some very fun multiplayer offerings, both competitive and cooperative. Halo 4 begins 4 years after the events of Halo 3. Master Chief Petty Officer John 117 and the AI construct Cortana are still trapped on the aft section of the UNSC frigate Forward Unto Dawn, which was severed from the rest of the ship as it entered into slipspace at the end of Halo 3. In those 4 years, the Forward Unto Dawn has drifted close to a strange planet, which a splinter group of the Covenant has also found. When the Covenant forces begin boarding the ship, Cortana awakens the Chief from his cryosleep. After fending off the Covenant forces, the outer shell of the planet below opens up and pulls Forward Unto Dawn, the Chief, Cortana, and the Covenant forces within it. On the planet, called Requiem, the Chief faces old and new foes, as well as the ever-looming threat of Cortana falling more and more into the depths of rampancy. For those not in the know, in the Halo universe, AIs normally only function for about 7 years. After that, the sheer amount of data they end up collecting and processing begins to drive them mad. They literally think themselves to death. Cortana has been active for 8 years, and her rampancy is starting to show itself. It's in this part of the story, the relationship between the Master Chief and Cortana, and how her degrading state affects them both, that the story in Halo 4 really shines. We see more character development in John 117 in this one game than we saw over the entire first trilogy, though it's still not a ton. We also see how Cortana sees herself and her role as a partner with the Chief. It's also nice to see how 343 Industries has integrated other aspects of the Halo lore into the story, including a prominent supporting role by the main character from the very excellent live-action miniseries Halo 4 Forward Unto Dawn, as well as small videos you can unlock to watch on Halo Waypoint that expand upon the backstory of the Halo lore. I don't want to spoil the story for anyone who hasn't played it, but the overall arc of it is great and really sets up for the next 2 games in this trilogy. The only spoiler I will say is this: there is no Flood to fight in the campaign, and praise whatever deity you worship if this is the case. If there was one thing that made me hate dealing with the campaigns in the original trilogy, it was always the goddamn Flood. In addition to the main campaign, there's also the new Spartan Ops mode. This is an episodic mini-campaign set roughly 6 months after the end of Halo 4. This mini-campaign puts players in the role of the new Spartan 4s, and brings more exposition to both the backstory and to some of the events and characters seen in the main campaign. Spartan Ops may be played either solo or cooperatively online. Each episode is broken up into 5 chapters to play through, consisting of 1 level each. Some of the levels reuse campaign levels, while others use levels not seen within the campaign. Basically, as long as you have Xbox Live and Halo 4, then you get to play the new episodes of Spartan Ops. Season 1, at least, is being released at no extra charge. As of this review, episodes 1 through 5 have been released. As a note, if you haven't picked up Halo 4 yet, and you wish to do any multiplayer modes besides co-op campaign, you'll need to run Disc 2 first to install the multiplayer assets to your hard drive. Unfortunately, nothing on the packaging of the regular edition at least tells you to do this. And of course, as anyone who has played any Halo game in the past will tell you, the main focus for many players is multiplayer. Halo 4 doesn't disappoint in its multiplayer modes. Essentially, the Halo franchise pioneered competitive online multiplayer on consoles way back with Halo 2, and showed that the competitive online multiplayer scene didn't just have to be for the PC. Many modes return, including Team Slayer, Big Team Slayer, Capture the Flag, and others. The interesting thing about these modes, though, is in how they explain why it's Spartan versus Spartan. Players are actually playing in a holographic training simulator aboard the UNSC Infinity. A few new modes have been implemented as well. Regicide is the only free-for-all game type in the main game, where the player with the highest score is marked on everyone's HUD and bonus points are awarded for killing the king. Flood replaces the old zombies or infection game type, with the nice thing being that players playing as the Flood actually looked like Flood-infected beings. 343 also has dynamic cycling of game types for those not found in the core game. SWAT has been released, and I'm really hoping they keep it in rotation, as it's my favorite game type in all of the Halo games. No shield, no radar, no armor abilities, just one-shot kills to the head. Other modes will also be periodically added or removed that aren't found in the core game. One key difference between older Halo games and Halo 4 in multiplayer, though, is the new Ordnance feature. Mixed with the kill cam and instant respawn in some modes, there were quite a few "Oh my god, they turned Halo into Call of Duty" concerns from a lot of players. Thankfully, those concerns were uncalled for. Players don't have to worry about kill streaks to get the ordnances. Instead, doing anything that earns experience points goes towards an ordnance meter. Once it's filled, the ordnance is ready and consists of a choice between a random grenade type, random weapon, or boost to damage, speed, or shields. Ordnances are also not available in all game types. Another key difference is the specialties. After reaching level 50s, players may choose a new class which will grant a perk based off of that specialty once they have gone through 10 levels. Players who bought the regular edition have access to 2 specialties, while players who bought the legendary edition have access to more. The only difference for regular edition buyers is if they played between launch date and November 20th. Then they were given a free upgrade to get those specialties in an email from Xbox Live. Armor abilities also return, though there have been a few changes. Sprint is now available to all Spartans by default and is not an armor ability. This speeds up the action in both campaign and multiplayer immensely. Other abilities have been removed, with some added as well. One such armor ability, the Sentry Drone, though, is nearly useless in multiplayer, while it can be a godsend in campaign mode, especially on the harder difficulty levels. Moving on to more technical aspects, Halo 4 looks amazing. Some vistas are absolutely breathtaking, lighting effects are the best in any Halo game to date, and the cinematics are gorgeous in both the campaign and Spartan Ops. The sound is also equally good in most cases. The voice acting is well done and many weapons sound good, though there are a few that seem to lack any feeling of punch to their sounds. Halo 4 also interacts with Halo Waypoint more than any other Halo game has in the past. The Theater and Forge modes also return, but truthfully I don't spend a lot of time in either mode. Maybe just saving a few clips here and there and almost no time in Forge itself. There's a lot to like in Halo 4, and not a ton to dislike. There could be a few minor weapon balancing tweaks here and there in multiplayer, and it would have been nice to have a few more maps. There's also the age-old Halo shortcoming in campaign of pop out, kill a few enemies, repeat as necessary until you can move on, especially in the higher difficulties, and this has hampered the series in my mind since the beginning. Also, the scoring and theater modes have been removed from the campaign, which is kind of a letdown, especially when you do something completely awesome-tastic in campaign or Spartan Ops and want to share it with your friends. But on the whole, Halo 4 is a fantastic package for Halo fans. If you're a fan of the Halo franchise, it's a no-brainer that you will probably already own it. And if you haven't played a Halo game in the past, the fresh story makes for Halo 4 to be a good jumping-on point.
I didn't mean to do that.
Commander Lasky, pursuant to Article 55 of UNSC Regulation 12-14572, I'm ordering you to remove that AI's data chip and retire it for final dispensation.
I don't want to. You don't want me to.
Remove
Please.
the chip now, Commander.
Please. I don't want to.
Give me that chip. The Didact has to be stopped. If you won't do that, I will.
I am ordering you to surrender that AI!
No, sir.
Lieutenant! Arrest that man!
Captain!
Arrest him!
Captain!
Get word to Earth that trouble is coming. Cortana and I will do what we can back here.
Let's see what it's got.
Hey Simmons, what do you think this machine does? How would I know? It's a 40-foot seamless monolith with one massive holographic button. It could be anything from a giant microwave oven to a weapon with enough power to... Hey, is that Caboose? Probably. He's on fire.
Oh God! It's like the armor! It does nothing!
Crimson, shut it all down. I'll get a team of professionals to go in and figure out what Gargarin turned on.